according to McKinsey Global Institute, they carried out research in 2016, and they found that if all developing countries were to close and narrow their gender gap at the same ratio as developing countries, that by 2025, the world's GDP would have increased by $12 trillion. Credit Suisse and Bloomberg, they partnered with University of California, Davis in 2016, and they did a research based on the top 400 public companies in California, and this was across the globe. So we're talking about healthcare, pharmaceuticals, startup companies, tech, sort of all of these companies. And what they found, which was very interesting, was that the companies that ranked the top 25 in their return on investment and return on equity had more female representation in terms of their CEOs and executive leadership participation. That just goes to show that companies and countries that invest more in women have a higher return on investment overall. The whole purpose of today is to talk about the call to action. So what do I think, or what do I propose that nonprofit organizations, corporate organizations, HR departments and companies alike can help in order to invest in women and disrupt economic development in Africa. In 2012, the United Nations Poverty Fund found that 1 in every 7 female before the age of 18 in Africa continues to be married off. And they're being married off because they have less economic resources, they have a lot of children, and when they have to determine whether or not to send their male or female children to school, the women get the shorter end of the stick, right? So they get married off, and while the men get pushed forward to public education. In spite of all of these, women own 1/3 of the small and medium-sized business enterprises in Africa, which I think is very phenomenal. Despite the fact that they don't have as much, investment, they don't get a lot of loans, and they don't have a lot of financial well-being and resources to work with. I think we need to get more, businesses and organizations to, sponsorship and partnership. And there's a lot of NGOs that provide sponsorship for women. I think the biggest disconnect that I see in Africa is that a lot of women are very talented. They don't know how to monetize this talent. They don't have the wherewithal or the connections to project this talent and use it to help their families. So this needs to be a continued conversation. When you educate women and invest in women, it impacts and trickles down to their entire communities, to their children, to their children's children, to the people around them. And so I think it's very important to continue to reinforce that. And then healthcare is also a very important thing in Africa. A lot of women don't have healthcare. The healthier you are, the more agile you are to participate in economic activities. So that goes without us saying. Leadership mentoring programs. I think a lot of women don't have representatives that they could look up to, people that they could emulate and say, that woman looks like me, or this person looks like me, and I'm going to talk to them and understand how they're talking the talk and walking the walk. Companies can begin to have a paradigm shift and have a fundamental rethinking of how they can invest in women, emerging leaders, as well as just women generally in their places of work to help them make that pivot towards a leadership environment. And so one of the other things I really wanted to talk about was a change in approach. So you often find that when women are given assignments, whether it's in colleges or high schools, their approach to problem solving is very different. You would find that in schools, when girls can't solve a problem, they'll often go to their professors and say, hey professor, I think there's a problem with me, I'm not sure why I'm not getting this. Whereas male counterparts would say, I think there's an issue with the problem you gave us. You need to revisit it and see if there's something you need to fix there. Women are often more educated than their male counterparts, yet they're not as likely to apply for positions because they feel they may not get it. They're going to be called the aggressive woman. Whereas the male counterparts say, you know what, I may not have all the qualities, but I believe I deserve the job, so I'm going to go ahead and apply for that job. So we need to sort of nurture our daughters and our young females to grow up and have this zeal to believe that they can do anything they place their minds on and they can conquer the world. I remember I was just a little child, and sort of when I was 10, 11, at the age where I could make breakfast, and I would go, Daddy, what do you want to eat? He'd say, well, whatever you want me to eat, that's what I will eat. And I felt so empowered, like, I get to make the decision about what you get to eat. Okay. And and so just growing up and perhaps going to meetings with him and going to events with him, and he would say, you always speak your mind, no matter where you go. Always speak your mind. And again, little did I know that this was sort of instilling confidence and strong values in me, and I think that's how it begins. It begins from the nurturing part, and when you're young and you're sort of your mind can still be formulated and you're impressionable. Each one of us, in every area of our lives, we're going to pull one woman up. Every time you meet a fellow woman, how do you empower that person? What kind of interaction do you leave with them? How do you share love with them? Do you give them a hug, or do you give them a compliment? Are you sincere? I think it begins with that. Empowerment should happen in every day of your life.